Welcome back to our series on multilingual practices. I'm Brooke Heffright from the University of Maryland Center for Advanced Study of Language, or CASL.
And I'm Rachel Strong, also from CASL. In the previous segments, we talked about the multilingual practice we call switching. Remember, switching is a kind of contextualization cue. Contextualization cues are strategies that speakers use to let listeners know which bit of context is most relevant to the matter at hand. Every language has contextualization cues, and we looked at a few in English, such as choice of words and tone of voice. Contextualization cues allow speakers to convey additional information beyond the literal content of what they say.
Switching is a special kind of contextualization cue in which speakers use words from different languages in the same conversation. Our example showed how speakers used switching to convey their attitudes toward what's being talked about, negotiate with other speakers about who's in charge, and organize the flow of conversation and topics.
In this segment, we're going to talk about another multilingual practice, one that we call mixing. Switching and mixing are similar because they both involve the use of items from different languages in the same conversation, but they are also different. Switching is a contextualization cue, while mixing is not.
Remember, we said that switching works as a contextualization cue because listeners notice it. Because it's novel and creative, it alerts listeners to look for an appropriate context. Mixing is what happens when the use of multiple languages is not novel or creative, but rather conventional and expected.
Let's listen to an example of mixing from conversations we recorded among native speakers of Somali with some command of English and Arabic. We have changed the speakers' names. The following conversation is about vitamins and natural remedies, and the speakers use elements from Arabic, Somali, and English.
ده فيتامين سي
طيب
للوش تاخده
حورتها من قصة تشتري حاجة غريبة مش عارف
ايه
حورتها
بس ده فعلا كويس بس الاحسن اللي هو الفيتامين سي او
وانت فين
مستخلص من الاكل
وانت فين هي كل مرة تقعد تخلط في دواء اخر مرة رحت هناك واشتريت تمارك عصير ليمون.
Let's take a closer look. While both Mariam and Burhan start off in Arabic, they eventually start to move back and forth between Somali and Arabic, starting in line 4. They even throw in an English element in line 12, the word turmeric.
The overall impression we get is that speakers seem to be juxtaposing elements from different languages without really paying attention to which language they're speaking. As an outsider, it is hard to say what the main language of this conversation is. Since changes from one language to another don't seem to serve as contextualization cues, we characterize this kind of multilingual practice as mixing.
Now, you may have heard the terms loanwords and borrowing. A loanword is a word that has been borrowed from one language to another, like ketchup or pajamas in English. This concept of borrowing comes from historical linguistics, but it is fair to say that when mixing becomes conventionalized for a whole group of speakers, to the point, say, where mixed items even appear in dictionaries, borrowing and mixing pretty much overlap.
But in the example we just heard, juxtaposition of these particular items from these particular languages is more or less unique to this group of speakers. Conceptualizing this practice as mixing allows us to focus on what a linguistic element is doing in a particular conversation among a particular group of language users, without making any claims about all users of a language.
Paying attention to multilingual practices and thinking about them in terms of mixing or switching can help you to make rational inferences about the social characteristics of a group and to explicitly ground your inferences in language behavior.
In our next and final segment, we'll summarize all of our segments up until now and discuss the implications of switching and mixing for inferring how speakers identify themselves in relation to others within a group. Thank you for watching. I'm Brooke Heffright.
And I'm Rachel Strong. See you next time.